What is up, Fightful Faithful? Welcome back here to Fightful Overbooked for another brand new interview. Today we are joined by the Progress World Champion, Mr. Kid Lykos. How are you doing today, man?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Little bit ill, but I'm keeping on. That's what matters. I managed to do my shows yesterday and the day before, so I'm alive and well.
So we'll start there then. The show that you had over the weekend, Rev Pro CMLL Fantastica Mania. Uh,
Yes.
what was that like for you? And is there more interest in working with more CML talent in the future?
Uh, it's special for me to do those shows because although I'm not necessarily very prominent in Rev Pro at the moment, there's clearly a belief that I can have good matches with the Mexican talent that come over. That was apparent last year when I had the two different tags we had, and then excuse me, to get the chance to tag against a legend like Atlantis was there's clear some faith there, and it was a beautiful opportunity for me because he's responsible for my favorite mask versus mask match of all time. I think he's amazing, so I was glad to get to the chance to lock horns with him. It was real fun.
And kind of sticking with kind of that theme, you of course did wrestle under a mask for so long, and
Yeah.
you're about 6 months into your run without it, and I'm just wondering, do you still feel like there's like you're missing something when you're not wrestling under the mask? Like, do you miss it at all, or
Sometimes, yeah, I think the thing I miss most is just the anonymity outside of wrestling. To be honest, but as far as in-ring things, I think the mask is very good for having your confidence at all times because you're hidden, you're protected a little bit. It's taken a while to get used to what I'm currently doing, and I'm getting there slowly but surely. I'm still figuring bits out, like even like things down to how I look in the ring, and I think the mask immediately makes you interesting and gripping, and I think that's something I think I've lost since losing the mask. Like it's something that Spike Trevay did take away from me. Um, so it's something I've been really trying to find again and make myself interesting. And I think it's slowly coming together, but it's just going to take time to get used to. And 6 months on is it's been a good stretch of time, but I think there's still more things to come that will make me feel more comfortable with it.
and you mentioned Spike Trevay there. You did have that rivalry with him. You did take the Progress World Championship from inside steel
Yep.
cage, and did it mean more for you to win that title, to finally win the title after you took off the mask? You were wrestling without the mask, and did it mean more in that regard, or
Yeah, it was everything to me at that point because Spike had taken everything from me and from a lot of people that cared about me. Like relationships I've built with fans over these years. They loved Kid Like Us as what it was, and to take that away is really vicious. And I think at that point, the only way to like get one back and feel all together again would be to win that title, and that's what we did, and that's what I did. And now I sit here with the Progress title sat right behind me, and it's very special to me to have that, and it's very special to me to take that forward with everyone on my side.
and you're coming up on 100 days as champion, and obviously this weekend you are going to be defending that title against the man who you beat to win the Super Strong Style tournament last year,
Yeah,
Mark Haskins. And Mark has been very vocal about the fact that he thinks you wouldn't have won if Nigel McGuinness was not the special guest referee. Now, to my knowledge, Nigel's not going to be around this time around. So, um,
correct.
what's your response to Mark's claims, and do you think it really makes a difference?
I think Mark likes to revise history sometimes when it suits him. I think sure the Nigel setup is a key point, but he revises the fact that Nigel wouldn't have even been impartial or involved had he not started coming for Nigel. If you listen to the commentary on all my matches throughout the tournament, McGuinness actually is kind of rude about me. He doesn't like me. He doesn't like what I do. He thinks I'm going to backstab still.
Hmm.
Um, he's really not a fan of me throughout that whole tournament. And then it's Mark's own fault because it was straight down the middle. Arguably, it could have been in Mark's favor because McGuinness likes Mark Haskins and they've been on shows for years prior. So Mark ruined his own match there. And moving forward to defending against him, I just think, could we see a repeat? Well, that's what I'm aiming for. And if he thinks that the only reason I won was because of McGuinness, cool. I'll prove him wrong on Sunday.
And you are closing in on 100 days as champion. Do you have a favorite memory so far of your title reign, or do you think that's still to come?
As far as like in ring, I guess winning the belt is the best memory of it all. Like, I haven't really had like well, obviously I've had to overcome great competitors in ring since having the belt, but I haven't had a moment or a problem to overcome because I've just wrestled great challengers. I wrestled Leo Rush, who's exceptional and so unique. I wrestled Derice, who it's no secret I'm quite close to. So I've not wrestled anyone who's ramped the stakes up until Mark this weekend. So maybe when I beat Mark, that will feel like a big moment for me. As far as like outside the ring, just the first day I got home with the belt and having it, I had it on the, like I put it on the floor of my room while I unpacked my bag, and I was just like, this is ridiculous that it's just in my house now.
Yeah. And so we'll move to the Super Strong Style tournament itself. You like I said before, you did win it last year, and obviously winning the title itself, obviously I imagine is the biggest memory that you have in wrestling. But what did it mean for you to win the Super Strong Style tournament last year? And do you have any advice for the lads who are involved in the tournament this year?
I mean, it was so important to me. I think I've been involved in a lot of good things. Like I was involved in a lot of great things during the initial boom of Brit Wres and some big shows, big moments. But being out on my own and succeeding is something that I think the people who like to critique me thought I couldn't do. And I think Strong Style was the first step to really proving that no, I am actually good. I wasn't on coattails for years. I am actually quite good at this, and this is the first step of many to prove how good I am. So belief and heart is all I have, and that's what I took into that tournament. And then when I got out of that tournament was I was like voted third bottom to win it, and then the fans in the building each night, I was the loudest reaction every night. So that my biggest advice would be just don't underestimate that fan support. And I mean, there's certain wrestlers who won't care about the fan support, like the Tate Mayfairs of the world and stuff. They'll be there because they think they're sick, and that's great. But that fan support can't be undersold because it really does make a difference. Like when you don't want to go on, really does make the difference, especially in that semi-final and final. It really helped me. So hopefully, I mean, Lykos 2 will come out with the most fan support, and hopefully he'll win the whole thing, and then I can beat him and just keep my title, so it's fine.
And obviously, there is one matchup that could cause a bit of friction between you and someone you're very close to. Kid Lykos 2, he's in Super Strong Style this year.
Yes,
I know you guys did wrestle back in December, obviously in Attack Wrestling, but this would be a much higher price, I would say, on your relationship with a world title progress. If he is to win the tournament, what are your thoughts on possibly facing him for the Progress World title?
I made a joke in just literally the previous question about just beating him. It's fine, but Lykos 2 is an exceptional wrestler, and I think he's getting more and more opportunities to show that recently. Strong Style is a great opportunity for him to show how good he can be, and if he were to win, it's a really interesting moment because he can, I obviously know how good he is, but do I know how good he is as an opponent? I don't know because I've not faced him truly as an opponent in a match of those stakes. I don't think he's had a match of those stakes yet in his career. So whether he will sink or swim is also a factor, but he's going to be gunning to prove me wrong if he's challenging me for the title. He's going to be gunning to prove that he can win that belt and beat me. And I welcome the challenge. That's real fun. Like being as close as I am to him, I want him to succeed. So if he wants to come for me, do your best. But I won't make it easy.
And just in general, obviously, it is a big tournament. There's the likes of Shelton Benjamin in the tournament, Leon Slater's in the tournament. And do you have anyone that you would like to predict to win the tournament? And if so, is there someone that you think is a dark horse as well?
The tournament, it's pretty stacked for reasons people maybe don't notice, or like there's a lot of dark horses people aren't thinking of, but like I'm going to back Lykos too because I believe in him, but he's got his work cut out for him. You've obviously got Luke Jacobs, who's incredible, tough, resilient, aggressive. You've got Connor Mills, who is an exceptional tactician, an exceptional technician, and downright crazy at times. You've got Eddie Dennis, who's I mean, he's got a storied history and progress. Like, you can't deny those sorts of things for how important that experience in big matches like plays a factor.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Shelton, who's worldwide veteran renown, been everywhere, been successful everywhere. You've got Santana, who is really, really good and is hungry as hell to show how good he is. And then you've just got the whole rest of that tournament roster who I'm missing out. And I'm not missing out in a sense of disrespect. I just think it's a really good run of wrestlers, like what Ricky Knight Jr., again, the Tate Mayfairs of the world. Like, everyone in the tournament is good. And it makes for a really hard few days of wrestling, especially that second day. Because if you want to win the tournament, you're going to do 3 matches in one day. I did 4 in 3 days for my win, and it was destructive on my body. So let alone doing all 3 in one night. Fair play to them. But I will hedge my bets on Lykos too because I believe in him.
Fair, absolutely fair. And Tate Mayfair's, like you've mentioned him a couple of times now. He's got. I interviewed him recently, and he said that he plans to have 2 belts on his shoulders: TNT Championship on one, the Progress on the other. You do have that TNT Tag Team title behind you as well. Is there an interest, regardless of if Tate does win this tournament or not, even if he loses tournament in the future? Is that a match, champ versus champ, for both titles? Is that one that would interest you?
Champ versus champ? No, I would like to wrestle him. If he thinks he deserves this title, again, I'm happy to fight anyone for this title because I fought my ass to get it, and I will fight my ass off to keep it. If he thinks he deserves it, sure. And I think the audience will probably like me to put him in his place. I'm also happy to go to his territory, go to TNT with my tag title. That's sad, actually. Tag title and face Tate for the world title. Like, that's perfectly fine by me. Because if he can back it up there, why wouldn't he challenge me for the Progress title? And same versa. You know what I mean? I welcome the chance to wrestle him because he is good. But he's not the greatest wrestler that ever lived. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, seeing as you said that statement, I was going to ask you that a little later, but for you, is there anyone that like inspired you to really get into wrestling in a way that still resonates with you to this day? Obviously, you've been in the business quite a while now. So just, is there anyone that inspired you to this day that you're still kind of taking pull from?
Loads of people, to be honest. Rey Mysterio is the obvious one because he's the reason I got into wrestling, and you can always learn something new from Rey watching him. When I got into like TNA, I really liked like Alex Shelley, for example, and he's been a really helpful person as far as like even just speaking to every so often in wrestling. So you can always put on a Shelley match or ask him a question. He'll be really helpful. Yeah, loads. I'm really trying to explore like new people that I wouldn't necessarily have thought of recently because I want to broaden my knowledge of wrestling. Like there's guys that I liked when I was younger. I thought, oh, they're cool wrestlers, but I've never gone back and revisited them because they're not like someone I would typically think of if I was going to go revisit a match. Like, but I'm trying to do that more now because there's a reason they're successful. There's a reason I liked them when I was younger, and why is that? So I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm trying to learn from those people. So there's too many to name. Like a recent one before I've got on this like weird obscure wrestler kick was I was going back and watching Spanky and London matches, tag matches. They had obviously had that great run in 0607, and obviously me and Lykos two are two smaller sized wrestlers, so there's loads to learn from them. And I thought they were the bollocks when I was 12, 13, so why wouldn't I think that now? And I went back and watched some of their stuff.
Yeah. And you mentioned it there on like you have you've grown from a tag team wrestler very much into a singles star, and that transition obviously you still are defending the TNT titles with Lykos too, but in progress, certainly you still have that progress. You are that progress world title. You are the guy. Has that been something that's been kind of has there been any part of that shocked you, or have you felt like you've stepped into those shoes like perfectly?
I mean, I thought I was wearing those shoes already, but people just weren't looking at my feet. That's the way I would word it, because I've known what I can do, but I think teaming with Chris for so long, and then immediately when I returned from injury, teaming with Lykos too, people associate you as a tag team wrestler, and that is like, it's the actor getting typecast as a certain role, which is fine because I love tag wrestling. I think it's the sickest style of wrestling you can have, and so many moving parts. But I know what I'm capable of. I know I can tell great stories. I know I'm going to deliver for people if they give me the chance. And this was one of the first places to give the chance. Like, I was put into Super Strong Style. I succeeded there, and I kept succeeding, moving on and moving on. And I hope that continues. I like mixing up the bookings I'm doing. I like doing singles. I like doing tags. But I'm glad people are starting to notice the footwear, as it were.
Fair point, fair point. And back in March, obviously there was a very powerful event in memory of Mad Kurt, and you were on that show. You did wrestle on that show. If I could just ask you what it meant to you to be able to put on that show in memory of Kurt, and if you have even a fun memory, just I've asked a couple of the British lads if they have any fun memories of Mad Kurt, just that they want to say to remember. The floor is yours.
I think first of all, every memory involving Kurt is a fun memory for the most part, because he was just so fun. He's just a hilarious person. The event itself was real special, although like so far on from the initial event, we all had the initial like horrible day at the unboxing show in December, and then we've all like had taken our time coming to terms with it, or even if we'd not come to terms with it, we're just getting back to normal life. But then the event is a chance to really like, it's a bit therapeutic in that sense, and then it was special to raise that money for Kurt on a show that wasn't just pro wrestling, like because Kurt wasn't just a pro wrestler, and I would say we had similar views on what wrestling could be, which was nice that when everyone volunteered to do the show, we could put together some ideas that we thought were real fun and real stupid. So like I mean, where on a show are you going to see Andy Quildan versus Minoru Suzuki? You know what I mean? Like, RevPro aren't going to book that. You know what I mean? Like, but they should. It'd be wicked. But yeah, it was just real special to do a night of wrestling that he would have been proud of, I think, for the silliness, but also where people in his life stepped up for like good matches as well. Like Harry's the best example, who's had a great night on that show, let alone the last show we did, where he wrestled Luke and had an amazing keyboard death match. So it's nice it was amazing to raise that money. It was amazing to honor our friend. It was amazing that so many people traveled to the show from all over the country. And it's nice that we have this championship in honor of him in our company that hasn't had a title, because it's a variety show, Silly Buggers Wrestling. So it's nice to have that as well.
And it's coming back to progress, obviously the progress in the Defy mergers and agreement obviously came recently enough. You did get a chance to work for Defy work in Defy for the first time over WrestleMania week. And I'm just wondering, obviously it was a tag team match. Is there a desire to take the Progress World title to America, to Defy, and to challenge the Defy World Champion?
There's a want to go to the Defy in general. I would have met people involved in Defy years ago at the Progress Coast to Coast tour in 2018, but that was what the day before that show where we were going to fly to Seattle was when my collarbone was broken, so I had to stay in New York while everyone flew because I couldn't fly. But working for them was great. The wrestlers on their roster are amazing. They have a really great crowd. Like everything about Defy is something I'm interested in. So taking the Progress title over there would be exceptional. Teaming with Chris again there would be exceptional. I'd love to do that. And I mean, getting to wrestle Kenta is a pretty special match if you can get it. You know what I mean? But getting to wrestle a lot of their roster is special. So I'll wrestle anyone, which is what's interesting. There's a desire to take this Progress World title anywhere in America, but Defy is a very special place. I think the people who run the show and work backstage are really good people. I would like to go back and I would like to do good business with them.
And last year at the Super Strong Style tournament, I know I keep kind of just going back to things that I probably should have asked you earlier, but in one of your matches for that, you did face Nick Wayne, and
Yes.
that's someone who is considered by many to be a prodigy of the business. And for you, like specifically for that match, during that hectic schedule, what was it like to work with Nick? And are you surprised by how fast he is progressing in AEW?
I'm not surprised. I mean, he's really good, tons of potential anyway. He's like a wonder kid of wrestling. But then he's also paired up with Christian, who, in my opinion, is one of the best to ever do it. I think I always repeat that adage. I can't remember whose show interview it is, but they say like, "Oh, if you turned up to the house show and Christian was your opponent, he just had everything sorted for you." And he like the dude is an incredible wrestler. So for Nick to get to learn from him, it's giving someone who's always going to be good the best teacher. So you're going to make them exceptional. Wrestling him was loads of fun. It was a good challenge. It was a good mesh of styles. Yeah, he's a good dude and he's a great wrestler. So I really enjoyed that. I'm not surprised by the success he's having.
And the British wrestling scene is probably at its highest point it's been in a lot of years, or not in a lot of years, a few years. And the thing is, the world champions of the scene, like the top world champions, you've got Tate, but there is one man who I would really like to see you face this year, and that's Michael Oku. And is that you wrestled Rev Pro over the weekend? You said you're not as well known in Rev Pro as you'd like to be. Is that a champion? Is that a match that you'd like to have this year with Michael?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think it's quite mad that I've not ever wrestled Mike in a singles match anywhere. So, I don't know why that's never come up as an option. Obviously, being the two champions of the two companies is a pretty hard thing to get us in the same ring and who's going to do it first or whatever. But I mean, I think Mike's great. I think he has really carried the flag for Rev Pro when Will has been having his like amazing last bit of his run in Japan and then moving on to AEW. Mike has taken the reins. But I think it's a fun one to look forward to as a match, and one I have a vested interest in because I like the challenge. If he's going to call himself the best in Britain, I mean, he calls himself the best in Europe and this and that, but if he wants to call himself the best in Britain, then okay. Again, that's just another challenge for me to say, okay, I disagree. Let's go. And we'll go from there. But yeah, me and Mike has never happened. It will happen one day, and I'm very interested to see when and where it happens.
And obviously this year, I can't talk about the events of British wrestling this year without saying, obviously, AEW All In this August. Is there any, like, obviously it's coming up pretty quickly now, but is there any interest in working any of the events surrounding All In, possibly even getting onto the show, even as an extra, like some of the other lads did last year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always looking for career progression anyway. I think I'm at a stage where I really want to progress to the next level, and that requires moving on to the next thing potentially. So I'm open to all opportunities. I want to get better, and I want to become better than I currently am. And you have to learn from people who are better than you. So getting opportunities to work in new places and major places like that, of course, like who wouldn't want to do that? I think it's the right time for me.
And just circling back to Will, obviously Will was such an important part of the British wrestling scene, but he did say multiple times before he did finish up with Michael that in general, British wrestling is in good hands. He didn't specifically name you, I don't believe, but he was saying just that the general talent is there. Is missing the opportunity to work with Will one-on-one something that kind of like, is that one of your biggest kind of like regrets on the British wrestling scene so far?
I've wrestled Will a lot in years prior. We haven't touched at all since he's been arguably the best in the world, and since I've got to where I am at. So for sure, like it's the, I guess it's the adage of I think Will can have a great match with an inanimate object. You could pick something from the room you're in, and Will would have a great match with it.
Yeah.
But you have to be pretty decent to have an exceptional match where you don't look out of place with Will. Mike's an example of that. And I would like to think I could be someone who would have a great match with Will and not look out of place. But again, I would have to find that out. I'd have to wrestle him, and if I sink or swim, that's another sink or swim moment. So I don't regret not wrestling him because the opportunity just never arose. Like his schedule was mainly Rev Pro influenced, and I was in that, especially whilst he was there. I was in like Great British Tag League or something, so we never would have locked up. But I mean, maybe one day, maybe not. I don't regret it. I've wrestled him before. I think he's amazing. I would just like to. I want to wrestle anyone who's going to make me better, and Will is an example of someone who makes people better. So I would like to learn from anyone.
And just kind of sticking with that, I know I mentioned Michael, I've mentioned Tay, I've mentioned that. Is there anyone else on the British scene that you haven't? Okay, a unique first opponent that you haven't really wrestled yet. Is there anyone that you want to step in with that Progress World title on the line?
I mean, there's loads. I've never wrestled Connor Mills in a singles match. Yeah. I've never wrestled Jordan Breaks ever.
Yeah.
Who else would be great to wrestle? I mean, I've never wrestled even like a Charles Crowley in a singles, for example. I've there's loads of options. You'd be surprised how many, because of being in a tag team for so long, how many wrestlers I actually haven't wrestled in a singles match. So there's a lot of first time matches and a lot of people I'd be interested in defending the title against. I think Connor Mills is a good start. I mean, Connor is, I think, pound for pound, probably one of the best in the country. And I think, especially given what happened in the Thunder Bastard in January, there's a reason for us to wrestle. So I'd love the opportunity to wrestle Connor and fight it out properly. Yeah, there's just so many first time matches. Like that's why there's so many slip in my mind. I've never wrestled Char Samuels. Let's say, like there's so many people I haven't wrestled in singles matches. So there's a lot to come.
And obviously, you've had there with Progress. There when NXT UK launched, Progress did lose quite a large amount of stars there. I know you're world champion right now, but with a possible launch of NXT Europe, is that something that would interest you, or are you more concerned with growing Progress, growing the independent British scene, and perhaps trying to avoid what happened when NXT UK did launch?
I mean, the honest answer is anyone who's saying that doesn't interest them is being silly. I think it's really easy to say it doesn't interest you when you're not being offered it.
Yeah.
I think anyone who gets offered it should look at it seriously because, I mean, for all the bad people can say, you also have to look at the good. Like you can see Pete and Tyler on Raw now, not even SmackDown, because they succeeded at what they did. Like the GYV, as much as what's happened has happened, they moved on from the UK to America for a reason. The best do rise, and that's not to say the ones that weren't taken over aren't incredible as well, but there's only so many spots, so you have to find the spot, and if you fill that criteria, you fill that criteria. So I think anyone who's being interviewed and saying no, that wouldn't interest me is silly. Let's be reasonable. But the focus is on the now. As much as, again, like I said, I want to progress, I want to go to the next level, but the focus is on the now, the progress title and the audience. And again, it's always been about paying it forward to them. That's important to me. Paying it forward on any show is important to me. That's why I care so much and work so hard at any promotion I do, like Attack or my own shows or any random independent you'll see me rock up at. Progress is like maintenance, and then growth is super important to me. It always has been. Obviously, with, like you say, the NXT UK build, there was a lot of the main stars were gone, so we had to make new stars. And as someone who'd been there from the previous regime and moving forwards through the Peckham era and all this stuff, I had a real vested interest in making it important and good again, because I cared about this company, and I was one of the last few familiar faces people had they could cling to.
Yeah.
So like coming back from injury and making sure my first match back was progress and things like that are all very important things to me. And moving forward, being at the helm whilst progress grows is important to me. So that's what I'm focusing on.
While I have you, it would be remiss of me not to ask. You've been over to my neck of the woods once up in with OTT. Back in 2017. You have worked a couple of OTT shows over in Wolverhampton and in the UK in general. Do you have any interest in coming back over to Ireland in the near future?
Of course, I love going to Ireland. Last time I was there was for Fight Factory, but I haven't done OTT in Ireland since 2017 at the stadium.
WrestleRama, yep.
Yeah. Which ironically was the start of all my horrible injuries, but nonetheless, I would love to do OTT in Ireland again. I know Darius goes over often, and it's something I have a big interest in. The Irish fans are always super lively, but they're also just great to chat to, like after the show or at the merch table in general. Like, it's good crack when you're over there. It's good fun, and I think the wrestling scene over there is really interesting right now, especially like the freshness. I've wrestled them in England, or I should say I've wrestled Fabio in England. I haven't wrestled Martin yet, but I've been around Martin, and if you're around Martin, there's always that sense of danger anyway. So the freshness are a big match of mine I want to have. LJ's obviously coming back and forth from nowhere, and he's teaching all the people he can what he's learned. So the Irish scene's got some great people, and I would love to come over more regularly, like semi-regularly throughout the year, let alone just like once or twice. You know what I mean? It's a very, very big interest of mine for this year and next.
That's great to hear. I'm sure the Irish fans would love that. You did mention it there. You have had a couple of bad injuries over the years, but now you seem to be all back together again. You seem to be really healthy and run through a good string of health. Has that been something that you've been really focused on, just making sure that you do stay healthy and you don't lose that momentum that you have suffered from over the years?
Yeah, I think I hated letting people down when it was constantly happening. I think it's something I've really focused on, especially the last year. Like, not that I wasn't focusing on it before, but I've just taken it up to a new level, like with what I'm trying to do, and like the way I'm exercising and warming up and everything has just changed drastically. I mean, touch wood, I've not had anything come up that stopped me. The only time I've had time off for an injury this whole three, 4 years we've been back has been, I had 2 weeks off and I missed 2 shows. I think I missed North and one other show in December last year, and that was it. I've been good that I haven't had anything bad happen to me, and anything that has been injured, I've been able to work through. I just want to keep improving my fitness, keep improving my my size, and keep healing and physiotherapying my my ligaments in my shoulder and anything else that's causing me some grief.
And circling back all the way back to last year's Super Strong Style, just one more time.
Yeah.
We did talk about Nigel. We talked about just how he was involved. But to have someone who is so legendary in the British wrestling scene, see someone who thrived over in Ring of Honor, to work with him, to have him involved in your match, even as a referee, even as an announcer for the rest of the night as well. What did that mean for you to win the tournament with him involved so heavily?
It was special. Like it's a stamp of approval, even if he, like, again, the commentary, he was not my biggest fan, but I think the end result is a stamp of approval. Like, if he's going to raise my hand and shake my hand, I think he's an honest person. I think he's a genuine person. So I think there's a degree of respect there. I'm not gonna, like, for me, like, my Ring of Honor guy was Jack Evans, so I can't be like,
yeah,
oh yeah, Nigel was great. I used to love watching Nigel, but my guys were like Jack Evans and Shelley. So like, I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, this was the be all end all. But that's a legend. That's a legend of this industry, who I think, especially now, it's like 50-50 whether he gets the respect he deserves or not. Because sometimes people are putting him over to the moon and talking about him, but then sometimes I think because it's been so long since he's been an in-ring competitor, people forget how good he was.
Yeah.
I think he's a legend. I think he was incredible, and it was a great moment. But you know, if Jack Evans or Alex Shelley had been officiating that match, maybe I would have been like even more ecstatic. But maybe I would have been more sad. Maybe because the commentary I wasn't that bothered by, because I was like, fair enough, you can have that opinion. But if someone I was truly invested in like that, maybe it said to me, I'd been like, oh gosh, what have I done to offend this person? So maybe that would have taken my mind out of the match. So it's probably good it was Nigel, to be fair.
Yeah. And just with the Super Strong Style tournament in general, obviously there's so many tournaments in the world of professional wrestling. You've got the G1, you've got the Continental Classic, you've got King of the Ring that's happening right now in WWE. For you, what sets Super Strong Style so far apart from all these other tournaments?
I don't know if it's the phrase set apart, but for me, it was that every like territory, as far as like its country wise territory, had its special tournaments. So you had, obviously, like you say, like the G1 or Best of the Super Juniors in Japan as like the pinnacle, and then you have the King of the Ring. You have these new tournaments for AEW. You have Bowler, which was the biggest US tournament for a long time.
Yeah.
But you didn't have a UK tournament that showcased the UK guys and put them up against these big time stars of other scenes for the longest time. And I think Super Strong Style was, and still is, and can be that. I think progress is obviously it's been turning over from the past regime, and it's been regrowing. So it's not at the level that people foresaw it at during the boom, which is fine, because we're all working hard to prove that the talent, like during the boom, is still there. And if anything, the talent who is here now is much smarter because they've been taught by the talent that were here prior. Like, I had the benefit of coming up with Tyler, Pete, and Trent Seven, and Saber was around, and Mark Haskins was around, and just all these names that were exceptional and do exceptional things now. I have to learn from them, and I could pass that forward in the same way that certain people who maybe are still on the come up still got the chance to learn from them. And I think we're all smart now to some degree, and we're all talented, and we're just trying to showcase that now. So Super Strong Style is a special tournament. I think this year is a good chance to show that off again.
And just as we're winding down, 2024 has been a pretty successful first half for you. Is there any goals that you haven't achieved yet that you want to achieve in the second half of 2024?
I've got my as cringe as it is, my lock screen since like February time has been just a list of things I want to achieve because I want to move forward and progress with this. One of those things is I want to go back to Japan. My last time I was there, I learned so much in such a short space of time. I think I have something I can offer there. I think I can learn and progress at a good standard there. I obviously want to, like I said to you earlier, I want to achieve the next level of what this is, and I think it's finding my way there. There's a lot of goals as far as like immediate goals for the current situation. I think it's to keep this progress title and keep having great matches and keeping the audience enthused. It would be to progress with my standing in Rev Pro. I want to prove that I can be one of the guys there as well, and be that in the tag division, be that if the cruiserweights need someone to wrestle, be that whatever, be that if Michael needs a challenger, I will be there. And then all around, there's goals to be found everywhere, but not necessarily ones that I'm thinking about at current. Like I just had an opportunity to attack Pro Wrestling title and didn't succeed, but being attack Pro Wrestling champion will be a very full circle and important moment for me. So there's something there. Regaining the if Attack decides to reinstate tag titles or whatever, regaining that would be important to me because that was the belt that me and Chris kind of made in that company. So that would be of interest. There's loads of goals to be had in the immediate vicinity. There's loads of goals for the future, but for this year, returning to Japan and keeping this progress title are two very important things to me.
And just before I do let you go, man, obviously you do have your title defense against Mark Haskins, a super strong size 16 this weekend, guys. Do check it out. It's going to be a really good one. But do you have any other bookings that you do want to just tell people about to check you out at in the coming weeks?
I mean, obviously, like you say, the Mark Haskins match is very important. I think that's it. Like I have been like saying, it's the battle for progress of soul, and it's something I actually do believe in because Mark believes he is the soul of the company before me, Chris, and this lot came into the company, and he obviously had his battles he had to fight and he had to relinquish the title, and I completely understand his perspective, but he wasn't here when I was in Peckham doing no fans tapings trying to make this cool again. He wasn't here throughout that first year back where I was doing anything the company required to make things make sense or keep stories moving. And now he's back whilst the company's got a little bit more standard. This is my company now. Like, this isn't, you're not the soul, I am the soul now. I mean, the people are the soul, really, but they've named me the person to lead that charge, and I will lead that charge, and I'll lead it right through Mark Haskins. Apart from that, TNG, my Modern Nomad, my company, we are running Territory Night Graps. So if you've ever watched a Dusty Rhodes promo or any sorts of taping era wrestling, we're gonna bring our own little spin on that. Attack Pro Wrestling has its show Bad Blood in July. I think it's July 15th. There's so many bookings people can be looking out for. It's just, if I can remember, North has Thunderstruck, and myself and Lykos 2 were challenged by Gene Money, but he doesn't have a tag partner. So unless he can fork out big bucks and fly someone over, because no UK wrestler is going to team with him because he stinks. So, unless he's gonna fly someone in, I don't know who he's going to team with. But Thunderstruck is coming up also in July. There's a big stuff coming. TNT June 1st. I'm Revolti. We've wrestled them before. We'll wrestle them again. There's some big stuff coming.
All right, guys, that's going to be the end of this interview. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Make sure to go follow Kid Lykos on social media. He is an awesome talent, and I'm sure he's going to have an even better second half of 2024. Thank you again for sitting down with me, man. It's been a pleasure. Yeah. And yeah, guys, make sure to subscribe to Fightful Overbooked, and I'll see you all in the next one. See ya.